Joining me right now is retired Army Brigadier General and author of Double Crossfire, Anthony Tata. Anthony, thanks very much. General, it is great to have you this morning. Your reaction to what is taking place as we speak.
Thank you, Maria. Great to be with you. This is no peacekeeping operation, that's for sure. And I think a lot of people were expecting a couple of provinces and then hold what they've got, kind of like they did in Crimea. This is a full-scale joint operation. They've had pre-assault fires throughout the night for airborne and air assault troops. Their Navy's been in the Black Sea, moving up along the coast there. They've had paratroopers and special forces, what they call Spetsnaz, seizing key ports and airports. And they've had missiles, airstrikes, cut off communications so that the Ukrainian military can't shoot, move, and communicate, cyber attacks to neutralize the command and control. And what I expect throughout the day is they'll continue this very precise assault that they're doing and consolidate their gains and then continue to move out to their next objectives.
This was a perfectly peaceful situation until Vladimir Putin decided to send troops and tanks in because he wanted more territory. Now Ukraine is telling citizens, get up and fight back. If you have a weapon and are able to defend this country, do so. Your thoughts on the Ukrainian president's response?
Well, I think he's doing what he can. They're severely overmatched by Russian forces, and what you're seeing is as much from Putin a demonstration to the world of Russian military strength. And so this is Putin's gambit here. He's absolutely deploying his most elite troops. And from a Ukrainian side, I'll tell you, Maria, I've had a very dear friend, Mark Pazlowski, was killed in 2014 in after the Maidan protests, West Point classmate, and he went to fight for Ukraine. So the Ukrainians are passionate people. They're going to stand up, but I don't know that there's the overmatch is pretty severe here, and the Ukrainians will get a vote into the speed of the Russian progress. So we'll see how it turns out. But right now, with cruise missiles and jets and air supremacy established by the Russian Air Force, I think what we're seeing here is a very well detailed plan that is being executed. And Maria, the troops began moving. The Russian troops began moving in October. What happened in October? It was sort of the end of our Afghanistan debacle. And that incompetence has resonated around the world. We left NATO out to dry, and Putin saying, well, you know what? NATO's fractured. America left all their NATO allies to fend for themselves in Afghanistan. They're not very unified. There's no leadership in Washington. And right now, what we're seeing is Putin doing seeing that he's threading the needle. And quite frankly, the Afghanistan failure is resonating around the globe right now. And what we're seeing, he moved the troops in October, and that was a decisive point for Putin. And I wish it were not the case, but that's what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, it's a very good point to make that the troops started moving in October on the heels of what we saw in Afghanistan. Biden wanted a good PR moment on September 11th, and as a result, botched up a withdrawal. I want to get your take on what China is thinking at this point. We know that the CCP has been sending jets into the Taiwanese air defense space now for several months as well, as you mentioned, after the Afghanistan botched withdrawal. What does the CCP take away from this?
Well, Maria, they saw the same thing that Putin saw. Xi saw the same thing that Putin saw in Afghanistan. A weak leadership, no accountability, more importantly, and fractured NATO. And so a fractured Western world, quite frankly, and every collective security arrangement needs an alpha to lead it. Right now, we don't have that alpha leading NATO or any of the other Western pact nations. And so what we've got is two despots in Xi and Putin that are sharpening their knives. And Taiwan's a little bit different situation. It's an island nation, and And so it's a little harder for, obviously Xi can't mass troops on the border, but he's got a big Navy, he's got a big Air Force, and so tactically it would be a lot different, and it's a lot harder fight for us to respond to as well, should we choose to do so. But the strategic implications of Afghanistan cannot be overstated as we watch what's happening on the global stage.
That's right. Now, we have heard from President Biden this morning. He is condemning Putin's move. He's calling it, quote, an unprovoked, unjustified attack by Russian military forces. He is scheduled to address America this afternoon, expected to announce new sanctions on the that the U.S. and the allies are going to be imposing on Russia. General, what would you expect out of the U.S. in the way of sanctions? And has anything that Joe Biden has done been seen as a deterrent here?
No, he's not a factor to Putin. The West is not a factor. Like as I've mentioned, there's this complete disorganization. A lot of it is the disinformation that's been embraced by the progressive here in America that they've used to sow discord and discontent against President Trump for 4 years, and they continue this narrative, and it's just surprising to me that people continue to hang on to this narrative, propagated a lot by the fake dossier from Clinton, and there's no accountability there. That's the key, is that our media are sycophants, the corporate media are sycophants for this administration, and until we get a reckoning, an accountability of the embracing of this false narrative about Russia, we're in a world of hurt right now, and my concern right now is that we have missile and air defense in the Baltic region. You've got Poland and to the south, Romania. There are NATO nations all around that, and Article 5 is a key thing here. And I do commend the administration for sending a couple of brigades of paratroopers, air assault troops to Poland, and as a deterrent. So we'll see how it plays out from here.
General, real quick before you go, when will this end? People are asking. Is the point here for Vladimir Putin to recreate the Soviet Union? And do you think at this moment in time what the Russian intelligence services are trying to do, hunt down the leadership of Ukraine, kill the leadership and arrest anybody in Ukrainian leadership and take over government? Is that Putin's move here?
Yeah, I think, he's going to be ruthless. There's no question about it. This is his moment. This is his opportunity. And so the big key is it's entirely different to attack Ukraine and then a different story to attack NATO. Okay.
Yes, of course. Yeah. And U.S. has troops along the border of NATO countries. General, thanks very much for your insights on this. We so appreciate your time. General Anthony Tata joining us this morning.